Well, just a third of the season remains for the final season of the Catalyst 317 Indy Elite Series. Tonight, it's round 9 of 12 from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. This is our penultimate road race of the season before we head off to Nashville next week, the Grand Prix of Long Beach on April 6th, and we'll finish things out with the 10th annual Indianapolis 500 presented by Catalyst 317 on April 27th. But tonight, the penultimate road race of the year, as I mentioned, on one of America's classic road courses here in Lexington, Ohio. This is a great little 13-turn, 2.2-mile road course. Kyle Heyer joined by Finian DeCuna. Finian, welcome aboard. I'm always excited to head here. I love racing in Mid-Ohio. This is one of my favorite places to watch racing in real life. The facility needs some new life breathed into it, Roger Penske style, hopefully someday. But it is a great racetrack for open-wheel racing. Different tire compounds. You've got all sorts of things to play with on the car to make it go a little faster, a little quicker. And it's a quick race. Just 49 laps here tonight. About an hour-long race, which is short for these guys.
Yeah, and it's such a fun, like you mentioned, it's just such a fun track to lap, especially in a high downforce car. The second and third sectors in particular, you know, a bunch of left, right switchbacks, and it's just so satisfying when you connect all these corners to one another and you hit that lap exactly right. It just feels so satisfying, and of course, you got to see who's going to be the one as qualifying has started, to see who's going to be up at the top.
Qualifying is underway. Let's have a look at the weather information. 113-degree track temperature, so it's a little toasty out here in Lexington. Cars already on the racetrack making their way around here and making haste around this 2.2-mile racetrack in about under a minute and 8 seconds for the drivers up at the top of the standings. And Jacob Oster currently on provisional pole, but only a couple drivers have set times, and they have a few laps to set down their best, Finian.
Yeah, Jacob Oster, provisional pole for him. Also a points leader coming into this round by about 60 points over Jesper Orman, who's trying to catch back up in the point standings, currently provisionally in 5th. Let's see if he can make any inroads. And of course, we've got to talk about one driver who is not here, and that is Hamilton Akwaeze, who we know is actually pretty good at road courses.
Yeah, he's actually finished second at the Indianapolis road course early on in the season, so it's a bit surprising to see him not here, especially when he was climbing up the standings up to 3rd place, right behind Orman by just 3 points. But Orman is here, currently 5th on the board, as we ride on board with Oster here, finishing off his second lap of 106.8. He was quickest in practice as well. Andrew Marquez runs his second lap. Andreas Eich in the 76. He is on lap 2, but has yet to set a time.
Yeah, I saw Ike was really pushing the limits in practice, trying to find the best optimal lap around. He had wrecked quite a bit, but of course, you know, when you wreck like that, you typically find that point, that fine line where you can dance around the limit, and he's found it, and it's up in 4th. As the next couple drivers come across the line, Julian Altona across the line for him, he ends up in, what is that? That is in 8th place.
AJ Musselman in the 54 heads down the hill here into turn 6. Wim van Gastel in the number 10 on course as well, and Andrew Wood on his second lap. No lap time recorded on the opener. Over the crest there. That is a tricky turn to get the power down. You can just see the rubber burned in from drivers making that mistake and spinning out to the right in practice. That's something we'll have to keep an eye on as well. This is a pretty lane-sensitive racetrack, and when you get 16, 17 cars ripping around here for 49 laps, the marbles are going to accumulate here. And Musselman goes a 108.841, only goes 11th quick.
Yeah, that's another big thing to talk about. You know, after the update with iRacing changing the way the marbles handle, you really have to be careful, especially on the road courses more so. Like you mentioned, so many cars, going around, flying around this track, marbles coming off, and with the track already being line sensitive, it's only going to be even more with the marbles involved. No rain involved tonight.
Andrew Wood up over the crest here. They call this madness up over the crest to turn 5 and into turn 6 now. Turn 7, and this is 8. This is a right-hand kink over crest. And then turn 9. Again, the corner I mentioned where you come up over another big crest while you're trying to get power down. They've added some curbing to the left there in real life now. That just gives you another 12 inches off to the left. And I've seen drivers use it plus some. And Andrew Wood tucking into the last little rotation in the carousel, and across the stripe there, it's a 128.107. That's not going to count.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that was a warm-up lap. It seemed like he was going slow through the final series of turns, doing one final push lap. Drivers have 3 laps available. He's on his 3rd and final.
Musselman.
It looks to be like he might be one of the last qualifiers to put a time down.
Shawan has not made an attempt at a lap in the 31, so he'll be the only driver to have not tried to put down a time. Really late on the brakes into turn 4. That's such a challenging corner. Now, disappointed in the offseason. Now, they made some changes for safety, but again, not represented in iRacing just yet. But out of turn 4, they knocked about 2 degrees of banking out and brought up China Beach to be level with that corner so that they don't send cars tumbling. Was it Simon Pagenaud that went for the ride there last year?
Yeah, I think so. He went flying off.
Tried to negate that opportunity from happening again. Wood tucking in. And just nice apex there, and we'll see what he's got.
Cross the line for him. Will it be quick? 108.1, and that'll put him about midfield in 9th.
Terrible. Not a bad lap. The qualifying is complete. About 2 minutes and 45 seconds on the board. Andreas Eich is actually back out, but I think this was a warm-up. I was pretty sure, so I don't know that this lap is going to count for time. A little off track there through turn 11. Spinning up the tires a bit, up onto the front straightaway. Yeah, that's not going to count for time.
I think he's getting out there, getting some extra laps underway before qualifying ends and the race begins.
Up into keyhole, turn 2. This corner drops away from you. It feels impossibly long. The apex is really late. You sort of treat it like a double apex, and it's an important corner because it leads onto this long backstretch. We're going to see a lot of push to pass in use and into one of your best passing opportunities at turn 4. I'd say that's really your best opportunity to get by somebody in an Indy car around here. You're flying around this racetrack. It's pretty challenging to get overlap on anyone anywhere else.
The back part of the track, and so we're talking about that constant left, right, left again. And heading right over here, up over a crest. A little bit off track, but it's not mattering. He's not putting down a hot lap. But you see a lot of drivers make a mistake. They go either a little bit too hard, push a little bit too much over that crest. Car just loses all grip, and around you go.
The 108.5, he qualified at a 107.4. A little early turn in there, and that curb that kind of separates the pit exit to the racetrack, it doesn't start until about halfway through the corner. And if you've got your left front tire down there or your left front wing corner, you can hit the blunt end of that curb, and it's a pretty violent transition if you're not expecting it. So if you turn in early like Ike did there, that will cost you some time. And you definitely don't want to do that in a race circumstance when you got someone here outside and slip up into them.
Well, I'm surprised that curb doesn't start earlier in the turn.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why it doesn't, to be honest.
Like you think, like, okay, you don't understand. Okay, maybe it's a safety thing, or just the way the line is. But no, it should probably be a little bit earlier. But well, that's another obstacle for the drivers to avoid and consider. Of course, this track doesn't have 3D curves. If that were the case, we really have to be careful.
I think that curve is sort of three-dimensionalized as much as it would probably need to be. It's got grooves in it. Actually, that one I don't even think does. That one's not even grooved, but this is one of those places that I don't think 3D curbs will change a whole lot because it doesn't really have standard sort of plate curbing. That's all the groove stuff, which that wasn't what I was complaining about back in the day. The grooves are not as big of a deal as the plate curbing, but qualifying is complete. It's Jacob Oster, your points leader on pole. Rashad Craig on the outside of the front row, and it's time to head down to the racetrack. 54 minutes if we go flag to flag. Well, we will go flag to flag, green flag. That's the beauty of road racing here in iRacing. Just a moment of time. We'll head down, get you the entire grid red. There's that turn 4 China Beach we were talking about, that gravel trap that I've seen so many cars get lodged in. You can see how it slopes away from the racetrack and downhill. They've leveled that out almost entirely now. Hopefully reduce some of the risk involved with that. But let's head back out to the racetrack now and take a look at the weather here. Again, track temp's down a couple degrees at 106, but starting grid. Let's kick things off. Finian, Jacob Oster on the front row in that number 16. And alongside Rashad Craig.
Yeah, solid starting spot for both of them. Oster looking to get some solid points here tonight. Pedro Blavel going to be lined up in 3rd place in the number 3. In behind, next to him, Andreas Eich, a potentially quick car in that 76. May want to be keeping his eyes out for him in 4th place.
And starting in 5th place will be Andrew Marquez in the number 63. He'll roll off in 5th place. Jesper Orman, 6th in the number 4.
Back in 7th is going to be Paulo Vinicius in 7th in the 42 machine. Next to him, Julian Alton, a lineup in the 11. He's rolling off in 8th.
And 9th place, it'll be Andrew Wood in the 64. Late qualifying effort puts him on the inside of row 5 alongside David Adams in the 00.
Row 6, AJ Musselman. He's lined up in the 54 machine in 11th place. And next to him, Craig Forsyth in the 99. He's going to be rolling off in 12th.
And 13th place, Joe Branch in the number 28. Pim Van Gestel in the 10 car starts 14th.
Moving on back, 15th, Mark Murphy in the 69 machine. And rounding out your field of 16 cars, Tony Schowen in 31, lining up 16th.
That didn't make a qualifying effort. We'll see if that was just out of self-confidence or if there's some pace to be found in this 31. But gridded and ready to go racing here momentarily behind the Porsche safety car. Waiting on one more driver to join us, Rashad Craig. He's on the racetrack now. We'll get a lap around here. Let's talk about the keys to the race here, strategy-wise, Finian. About half the field is starting on the primaries versus the alternates. The top 5 are all starting on the alternate tire. Jesper Orman's the first on the primaries. What's your thought here?
I mean, it really depends on how these drivers want to play it. I mean, we saw the primary tires work very well at Road America, our last road race with these drivers, and it was essentially the tire you want to be on. You know, typically for a long time, when it came to the tire compounds, the alternate was always the preferred tire. The primary was the tire you just kind of had to deal with because you were forced to run it. Now it seems like it's much more of a stable tire, so depending on how much tire wear these drivers are feeling is out there, they may want to potentially carry on the primaries, maybe 2 stints. And we're looking essentially at about a 2-stop race. That means 3 stints. So they're going to have to pick one tire to double stint on. Could be the alternates, could be the primaries. Depends on how they're feeling with the tire. And then, of course, the strategy of a couple drivers, especially notably Jesper Orman, Julian Altona, starting on the primaries in the midfield. To see how they can deal with it and getting those tires up to speed, and how long will the alternates last?
Typically, you'd start on the back straightaway here at Mid-Ohio, right by that gantry. I've actually started races here from that spot. It's pretty cool. But in iRacing, we will start where NASCAR does, up on the front straightaway.
Does NASCAR not use? I thought they used the gantry, or did they use it one time and then move back?
I'm pretty sure that they use the main straight, pit straight. But maybe I'm wrong. Admittedly, it's been a while since I've watched a NASCAR race in Mid-Ohio. Curious to see how the tire thing comes into play. This is something that seems to change, as you documented. It changes quite a bit, so the drivers are always chasing strategy. And again, this is an open setup series, so you have some tools behind the wheel, Finian, to adjust the car. So what are you going to be playing with over the course of a run and kind of try to keep your car dialed?
I mean, really, these drivers can, mess with the front and rear anti-roll bars. Of course, no weight jack or on a road course, so that's something they can mess with. Potentially. Obviously, the big adjustment is really for the brake bias on a road course. That's something they also want to play with potentially through the run and as they change tires. Safety car is going to head for home. Jacob Oster, the points leader and pole sitter. Green flag, and we're underway. The Catalyst 317 Indy Elite Series at Mid-Ohio, round 9 of 12. We're green. Adrian Blevel right by Rashad Craig in the opening corner, wasting no time moving by. Oster leads into Keyhole, a little bit of side-by-side in the background. Altona, not one of his favorite racetracks. He self-proclaimed that this is a place where he expects to finish dead last. He's not doing that bad so far, but 8th with Andrew Wood quickly approaching. Yeah, big thing is considering the primary tire is waiting for them to get up. Dempster, meanwhile, battle for second. Craig wants his position back, was side-by-side with Blevel, but had to yield a spot. Andrew Blevel up 1 spot, or will keep that spot. Second place, and now trying to set his sights on Jacob Oster if he can muster up the speed. Oh, Craig sideways a little bit after getting some oversteer. Here comes Andreas Ike mounting the pressure. Yeah, looks like Craig is struggling here just to get some temperature in the tires and get comfortable. I don't know that Oster has any real competition today as far as those that are up high in the point standings. No Akabueze, as we mentioned, no Brandon Trano here today, so I don't know that anyone's really got speed for Oster. I thought maybe Orman might be able to take the fight to him, but he didn't qualify well enough to really stay in touch on these opening laps. I mean, it's going to be really the strategy thing with Jesper Orman as cars around. That's Mark Murphy out of the penultimate corner. Here's what happened to him. Just got way loose in turn 11. And again, on the primary compound, this one thing, you expect the tire's going to grip up a little bit more, but you're going to need to give it at least another lap or two. So into the pits for him. Not sure he's going to change to tire compounds or not, but for the lead, no changes. A couple drivers using some push to pass, try to get that speed going, maybe mount up a run. A couple drivers potentially having a look, but no looks into turn 4 as of now.
Julian Altena was not particularly excited about this one, but lost one spot here to Andrew Wood a little while ago, and might be able to learn some things off the driver of the 64. This is a track that I think you got to really kind of get into a flow state with. There's so much elevation, and it happens in a hurry. I think that's the big thing. There's a couple places on this racetrack where you get into a compression or the track drops away right on corner exit right here. You lose grip as you leave the corner, and you've got downforce in these cars, but you're not, you know, in the corner like turn 11, you're not going all that fast. You don't have all the downforce lean on like you would at the kink at Road America, for example, so you have to be conscious of that. As Orman now has Paulo Vinicius getting to apply some pressure in that 42.
Yeah, very strong running for the 42. He struggled a little bit on the ovals this season, but he seems to have some decent pace for the road courses here, qualifying up in 7th, and looks like he might be mounting a charge on Orman. He's on the slower tire. That might help him here to use the alternates to his advantage, and also utilizing some push to pass.
The gap close with slipstream, push to pass, and then the braking into turn 4. A lot of camber to lean on here up over the crest of Madness. Is another area where the track drops away. You're not going to track all the way out to the right because you want to stay set up for this next right-hander. So you sort of only exit center track. You compromise the exit of Madness for a better run all the way down to turn 9. Gentle on the throttle over the crest of turn 9 to make sure you don't spin up those rears and end up in the fence.
Yeah, we usually guys start looking at the mirror. Andrew Wood starting to mount some pressure. Already made up one spot on Altena. Now Wood looking at getting 7th away from Vinicius here. And it's closing up again through the final few corners.
Out front, no pressure for Jacob Oster in that 16. Let's talk about his season here a little bit. He's had a good year. He obviously is leading the standings. He's only finished outside of the top 10 once. That was a 12th back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course there. He's had 5 consecutive podiums since Texas. First, second, third, and third. And that win at Texas is his only win this year as the points leader. So this will be a great day to capitalize, grab himself a second win, diversify up onto the road courses as far as wins are concerned, and set himself up for a championship run in the last 3 races.
Yeah, he's doing really essentially everything he needs to do, especially with his competitors not able to step up to the plate. They've struggled in one way or another, and he's risen to the occasion. As long as he can keep everything clean and in the right direction, should be looking good here.
Yeah, so watch this again. This is coming into turn 9. I want you to watch corner exit here. So he turns in, doesn't get on that curb. You don't really want to, but watch this car skate over the crest here. They come up over the top of the hill, and then watch it start to just 4-wheel drift right here, right out to the edge of the road, and that is how close the margins are there. You have to use that, but you can also burn up your rear tires doing that a lot.
Yeah, definitely something you want to be mindful and keep track of. Also been keeping track of push pass usage for Pedro Bleville. He might want to realize there's still 45 laps left in this race. He's already down to 163 seconds of push pass. Used up 40 already. I think he's trying to see if he can push and catch up to Oster and kind of keep him within his sights, but so far, no dice. You look at Orman, Vinicius, and Wood follow through China Beach.
This is the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment. In these 3, Andrew Marquez quietly running P5 in the orange and black 63. Sort of in no man's land here with this battle shaping up behind him.
Orman's looking pretty strong. Again, playing the long game or really working the race on the way back. I'm really curious to see, as far as tire choices, what we're going to see out of these drivers. I feel like we might see the alternates play out a little bit stronger, but I said that at Road America and I was completely wrong. So have to wait till pit stops start to play a factor. Whoa, as Vinicius gets a little bit sideways through turn 1 with the dirty air.
Trying to keep pressure on Jesper Orman here. This might end up being one of those track position races where any strategy you can do with the tires or on the pit stops might be the easiest way to get by somebody, although, again, Vinicius continues to keep Orman well within sight. And then another battle that's beginning to shape up is Pim Van Gastel and Joe Branch. This is 13th, but the 28 having the advantage. That's Branch.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the debut for Van Gastel and the number 10 machine and running in 14th. See if he can make up a position here on Branch. Branch on a slower tire, Gastel on the faster rubber.
Did see Pim Van Gastel at the Milwaukee Mile, but it was a start 16th and finish 16th sort of situation. Looking for a better result there.
Looks like we already lost 2 drivers, Tony Schowen and Mark Murphy have called it a night.
Let's see what happened to Tony Schowen. So let's go back and see if maybe there was something. It looked like he just pit in. He had issues committing the time this evening, so will not complete this race. Andrew Wood beginning to run down Paulo Vinicius. This battle's getting tight, and so is Altena and David Adams. This is for 9th.
Saw a battle brewing here. Will he pull out for position? Has a little bit of a look trying to scare out Altena, but no dice. He's not able to get alongside and make a move.
Velocity Online Racing car still holding on 9th after starting in 8th, but pressure is mounting.
That's usually one of the best ways to make a position here at Mid-Ohio, is forcing the driver in front of you to make a mistake and go off the track. It's so easy to make mistakes, especially high downforce machinery. A lot of high downforce corners over crests like we covered. So it's very, very easy to make that mistake and go flying off the track, and that's one more position for you.
And this place isn't very forgiving. If you slip up here, you're hitting grass or gravel. There's not really a lot of pavement runoff anywhere.
Yeah.
There is none. So this is a real old school racetrack. It hasn't really fundamentally changed that much since its construction back in the 1960s. There was a little chicane. Ooh, this is tight here. But there was a little chicane after turn 9 in Thunder Valley that has since been removed and is now a straight shot there from turn 9 to turn 11. But I guess the exception of presumably turn 10. And here comes David Adams with another lunge down the inside of Altena, but didn't get the overlap he needed. But he's got Altena on the back foot here.
Yeah, it's trying to scare him out of that spot, make him make a mistake, go off the track. But Altena not falling privy to that, and it looks like Van Gastel is going to get the spot over Branch in turn 4.
Yeah, pass complete there. Just nice classic old school pass on the back straightaway, slipstream up into 4. I really don't know that we're going to, without a mistake, I don't know that we'll see passes anywhere other than turn 4. Look at this slide for Andrew Wood, chasing the car across the road there.
And you talked about being line dependent again. He was running a little bit off the line there. I think was trying to get a better, get out of the way of Benicio, get a little bit more aerodynamic grip, but unfortunately there's no rubber out there. Got some marbles potentially building up, and just see the car step out.
That's a scary place to have it go wrong too. Again, a lot of speed going into a pretty slow corner.
Yeah, Wood actually did the same thing in turn 4, went a little bit off the line, had a bit of a lockup in the keyhole. So another small mistake here, lost a little bit of time to Vinicius, but looking at David Adams, chase down Altena one more time. And not quite there, a little bit further back on this occasion. Well, actually, I believe both of these drivers are catching up to the battle up ahead.
Yeah, slightly. It's still about 2 seconds up there. I saw Altena kind of lose the nose. Notice that Altena's on the primary tire as well. Well, Adams is on the alternate, so oh, that was tight. You never want to get up on the curb there entering turn 9 because you can drop a tire in the grass, and I've seen Tom O'Gorman spin out there before. That's you don't see Tom spin anywhere. I mean, it was in the rain nonetheless, but yeah, that is a tricky turn. You get a little wide there.
Keep it on the black stuff.
Yeah. Or the gray stuff.
Or gray.
They did. Now, they have repaved this track in recent years. And you know what was interesting was a lot of the feedback from the drivers the past, I think it was 23, might have been the first year that we ran it, maybe it was 24. The drivers said it was the loudest repave they'd ever been on. Like the track was noisy, like you were driving on.
Really?
Yeah, like it made a lot of road noise, which was an interesting bit of feedback.
It's funny because you would think the opposite. You think the older, rougher track would maybe make a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, this track has always been known for being very low grip, but obviously the repave had changed that. So I'm not sure, how the asphalt compound changed, but that was feedback that the Grid Life drivers gave.
Never heard of a track being loud. Physically loud.
Well, when you're driving on the highway, there's like different patches of road that sometimes are louder than others.
Yeah. It makes sense, but that's just definitely an interesting comment, especially to hear. It's normally something they comment about.
Right, especially because usually you're in a car that's louder than the road is.
Let's do informally.
Yeah. Need a louder exhaust there, bud. So working lap 11 of 49, and AJ Musselman on pit road. Scheduled stop here.
Early, I would say somewhat. These cars are able to go just about 20 laps on a tank. It's kind of pushing up against that limit. And he pit on the primaries, look like he's switching to alternates, and I feel like that might be a common strategy we may see as these drivers completely get off the primaries as soon as they can. We'll see if anyone else decides to bite next couple times around.
Also going to be the first to switch to alternates that started on primaries.
Now we'll say that, Jacob Oster into pits.
Okay, so now this is going to start probably a mad rush here because I assume it's a two-stop race from here, or a one-stop race from here, rather.
Yeah, so 2 stops in total. I was just about to comment for Oster. There is a decent amount of fall-off. He's already fallen off a second from his best time earlier in the race. So there's a decent amount of wear on these alternates. I think that's really the big kicker for them. Yes, you get that speed, you get more pace, but of course at the expense of tire life, it's going to be much shorter on these tires. So he's in a pit road, was the only driver to hit this lap of the leaders.
And he is on
and away on the primaries.
Yeah, so he'll go back to the alternates for the end of the race. So I think this strategy made the most sense to me, right? Where you do alternate primary.
Potentially he may. It depends if he feels like he can carry the alternates to 20 laps. And with him pitting only 10 laps into the run, that makes me feel like he can't. Because otherwise he would have gone 20 on the alternates, 10 on the primaries, and then 20 on the alternates again.
Yeah.
So he might be going all the way on the primaries, potentially. We'll have to see.
Yeah, but this is, now he's in traffic. So this was an interesting call, I think, because of where it puts him on the road. Ooh, big wiggle there. He's just trying to get the primaries up to temp. Take a little bit longer for them to do that. You see him really fighting the wheel. This car is on edge.
Yeah, this is the risk, too. It puts him back in traffic. We've seen that catch out drivers here and there being put back in the traffic with that situation. Jesper Orman into the pits.
Another driver that was on the alternate tire. Oh no, he was on the primary. So this is kind of an early stop from what we expect for.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of mixed strategy, which I wasn't expecting. We're seeing drivers carry different tires at different lengths. So some drivers seem to prefer the grippier tire, maybe feel like they can carry it longer. Some, like Jacob Oster, feel like they can't really carry that long and maybe want to go for the harder compound. And Orman back out on the alternate side by side with Joe Branch.
Yep. Jacob Oster is still behind David Adams in the 0-0. So I do wonder, but we'll see what his lap times are looking like. But Bleville's still at, low 108s, which is, as you mentioned, about a second off from the fastest that car has been. But Oster now stuck behind David Adams, who's running 109. So it's not like this lap time can be a lot faster than that. So Oster might be giving up the lead for the short term here if he gets stuck behind Adams for another lap or two. Whoa, big push there.
Into the pits. And so a big push from Oster trying to catch up to David Adams. And see how much Adams is going to put up a fight.
Oof. It's a 108.9, so that was actually 2/10 slower than Bleville, than the race leader.
Oh, he's going to get a little bit wide with the dirty air.
That makes me so nervous every time I see a car drop a tire here.
Oh, and Adams letting Oster on by into the keyhole.
That was gentlemanly there, I think. Joe Branch has Orman right behind him, and Orman is on fresh tires. Branch has been on the road since the drop of the green flag, but no planned position change there.
Julian Altona, whoa, in the background sideways, locks it down, and will save it. I was just about to comment, he came out of the pits a lap ago onto the alternates, but now flat spot of those tires.
Yeah, I see
one a little bit too hot.
I think he got up on the curb there at the apex. We'll go back and watch this again. Right here, watch this left front tire. Bam, right there, hits the apex.
He was fine. It seemed mostly on the exit that was the issue. I think just the tires weren't up to temp yet. Didn't have enough grip.
Yeah.
That's a little bit too much of them, but back underway for him. Does have a flat spot maybe to keep in mind.
Of course, iRacing doesn't simulate the flat spot visually or as far as force feedback, but all the other effects of dragging your tires in a lockup certainly do affect the car and the tire carcass temperatures and things. So, while it
which I think is so cool, at least they're able to simulate that now.
Yes. So while it might not bother the driver as much, it will definitely cost them time. Here's Orman on Pim van Gastel, another driver in that number 10. Gastel has not hit yet.
And Orman's on it. Push past on that short little run to turn 2 through the keyhole and now off and away. He's trying to make up time. I think he knows he needs to have a good stint here to catch up to Oscar. We may not be on necessarily the best strategy, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, so Blebel's now
something we don't.
Oh, Oscar. He's definitely adjusting to the less grippy tire. You see him pushing a lot harder. This car is really on edge. It's pushing, it's sliding around. Definitely looks like a late 2024 Red Bull right now.
So and the issue is that as the more sideways he gets, the worse it's going to get, because you heat up that surface of the tire, it's only going to get slipperier and slipperier. And I mean, we talked about the track temp. It's gone up from the start of the race. I think it was 108, 109 when the race started. It's now up to 123, so it's toasty down there.
Oh, you see it
it's only going to make the situation worse.
You see that front tire as he went through the keyhole there. Watch this again. Watch the lettering. Kind of dragging it around. So again, not a lot of load on the tire there, so it's not like it's going to be a huge deal, but definitely locking up. And he's only about a tenth or two quicker than Blebel. And Blebel is still out on track on the alternates, 16 laps in. So he's going to go a full fuel run, I imagine, on this tire. Actually, he's going to shoot in right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is mathematically, when you kind of cut the race into 3 equal parts, this is mathematically around when you want to come in. Of course, you have to consider, again, you are going to have to change tire to a slower compound at some point, so may not be ideal to cut this into 3 equal parts, but we'll see how Blebel's going to carry this.
Would anyone go
join in? Looks like
alternate primary?
We'll see. We'll have to see. It really depends on driver preference. I think it also depends on where you are with traffic, and looks like Blebel will do that.
I like this idea because the race is only going to get more spread out as the day goes on. You take this lower tire at the end when everyone's as far spread out as they're going to be as Oster goes by Wood. And
Blebel actually made up a lot of time on Jacob Oster.
Yeah.
Of course, on a slower compound, but he made up some time. Of course, they have a couple cars between him, David Adams and Andrew Wood.
I thought he would have made up a little.
Keep an eye on that 3.
I would have made a little more time than that. But remember, Oster is lapping at times that are 2 seconds off of the best lap of the race. So now, and that was done on alternate tires. So Blebel should be able to run down Oster over the course of this run.
Also consider the fact that in about 3-year laps, I think everyone should have at least pitted their first time, because they only got a couple laps extra. Whoa! Blebel sideways. Up and over the crest. You're talking about this before. And of course, full tires on his out lap.
Yeah, just pushed.
Stepped out on entry.
Yeah, just did not get the rotation he needed there. Andrew Wood is in pit lane. Joe Branch and Altena battling for position here.
Yeah, so what I was saying was that basically with everyone having to come to the pits, less traffic for Blebel to deal with, effectively would make up more ground that way. If you look at Altena versus Joe Branch. Altena out of the pits, Joe Branch, I imagine, wanting to pit at some point here. And still stay out a little bit of a lockup in the penultimate corner.
So Blebel, next time by, we'll kind of know where he is on his lap times. But if he's not in the mid 107s, I'd start to worry a little bit. He's about 4.4 seconds behind Jacob Oster at the moment.
I tell you what, looking at Andreas Ike, he's out there in the lead on the red alternate tires. He's keeping about pace with the primary tires right now with Jacob Oster. A little bit slower, but he's carrying alternate tires 20 laps.
Yeah, that's something I'll be taking note of.
On it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Road America, where was the track that we were experiencing the Road America, right? I mean, there's so much more load on the tires there because of all the downforce and the high-speed corners and the long carousel. You're going a little slower at this racetrack. I don't know that we're going to see as much of a disadvantage on the long run on the alternate as we saw there. Now, the big difference here, I think, is the track temperature is a lot higher.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'm liking taking the alternates a little longer.
It really depends on the driver.
Yeah, Blebel was at 108.3, so it was a full second quicker than Oster last time. But that advantage will go away.
Yes, it definitely will. And depending on how long Blebel can carry these tires, that'll really depend on what he's able to do. And it seems like he's going to carry them a little bit shorter than what Ike's doing. A lot of the other drivers seem to be planning on carrying them out to term. Speaking of which, here comes Andreas Ike coming in around 19 laps in, and what we expect.
Carry their tire babies to term. I've never heard that phrase used in that context. That was your work life slipping into your play life here, huh?
Yeah, basically what we were talking about before.
That's hilarious, actually. I like that.
You know
Carry
what I mean.
I do know what you mean. No, it's great. I didn't hate it. Andrew Marquez takes over the lead here, and he owes us a pit stop. So does Paulo Vinicius and Joe Branch. They're the last drivers out on their original set of tires and fuel. And remember, Marquez is on the alternate tires, so carrying him past the 20-lap mark.
Yeah, so really trying to extend this run out. Of course, there's that fine line, to the point where it may not be worth carrying them out all the way to 20 laps, but they feel confident in doing so, and we expect they should be in the pits this time by. So this should cycle everyone out to where they run. Jacob Oster over the back of Paulo Vinicius at the moment in second and third.
That's going to be, well, they ran within 2,000ths of each other the last time around. I thought he'd make quick work of them, but I'm not sure it'll be quite so easy. Just how much push, you saw how much rotation he had
off the rear wing. Look off the rear wing of Oscar. There's probably the level as Vinicius pits.
Clear road for Oster, but now this is going to be effectively the battle for what will become the lead after Marquez makes his pit stop. There's the difference. It's about 10 car lengths. Maybe 15.
And again, for Blebel, we expect him to make the pass. Of course, Oster, I imagine, not going to just lay over and let him on by. Saw a little bit of a lockup there. So Jacob Oster, Rayshad Craig, Andrew Wood, David Adams, and Joe Branch all jumping on the primary tire. And everyone else jumping on the alternates for their second stint.
Now we're going to see 9-lap-old primary versus 4-lap-old alternate. That's the battle we're going to see, but it's Blebel on offense this time. He was definitely on the back foot in comparison to Oster on equal footing when they were both on alternates earlier in the race. So he's got the leg up now. The only thing he doesn't have the leg up on is the position on the racetrack.
And that could change here. Closes up a lot in this final sector. Just a little bit better, able to get the car slowed down a little bit more and a little bit more rotation speed. Over the back of him a lot closer this time, heading towards turn 1. And Andrew Marquez, wow, hyper mileage, 22 laps complete on his counter. That's impressive. Well, he completed 21 laps, a little bit longer than I would have thought.
The braking, how much better Blebel is there. In the high-speed corners at turn 1, it didn't seem like there was an enormous difference in pace. And now Blebel's fully in the aero wash of that lead car, so it's going to slow him up a little bit.
Both drivers on push to pass, heading towards China Beach. Blebel not afraid of using push to pass here. 70 seconds left for him the rest of the race.
Yeah, but again, I mean, this is a great time to use it in a battle like this. And you just have to be conscious that if you're in this battle on lap 48, you're gonna wish you had some more.
Yeah, he knows he needs to get around Jacob
Whoa,
Oster.
big
Can't
slip.
sit behind. Oster sliding still on corner exit. Blebel over the back of him. Fortunately, this is a really tough place to make a move unless he really dives it in one corner. Here is an opportunity. Looks to the outside.
Yeah, Oster is really struggling with this primary tire. This car is not, the setup is not built with this black wall tire in mind. It's definitely built for, this is more of a qualifying setup he's got tonight. It seems like just really, really quick.
Yeah.
You take grip away and it's a struggle.
You can see how twitchy the car is on the rear end, the way he's pushing it, because he knows he's trying to go as fast as he can, but the tires just cannot give him the grip. Lock up in the middle of the corner as well from Blebel. Great exit all over the rear wing. Here we go.
Yeah, battle is on for the lead here in the Indy Elite Series. Here comes Blebel to driver's left, trying to sneak up the outside. Battle down at turn 4 here as we approach the halfway point of the race. Here comes Blebel on the brakes.
Yeah, Oster backed off. I think he knew that at that point battle was lost. But Blebel getting the pass he needed to get done away, and now he has to get his head down and try to get in some decent laps because he knows that it's going to be a tough fight with Oster he's fighting him on the timesheets right now.
Yeah, so if you look at the strategy here, I know he's only 11 laps into these primaries, but I think he's learning that the alternate tires have some speed because Blevel he's only 6 laps into the run, but he saw drivers take those alternates all the way to the 20 lap mark. So if I'm Oster, I want to get off these primaries pretty quickly. I need to only maybe go, well, he's going to have to take it all the way to the end of the fuel run.
He's going to have to take these tires at the very least to lap 29:30 because then he can make it on one more stop to the end. So he's stuck on these tires for the next 5 to 6 laps.
And for Blevel, again, I would take these as long as he can because these seem to be the tire of choice today. I love that this is the topic of conversation that depends on the racetrack, depends on the weather. You have to chase the strategy in real time and maybe amend your strategy. You can't come in here, haven't done the math and science it out. It depends on what everyone else does too. So there's no mathematical best way to do this.
Yeah, you need to be able to call an audible and change things on the fly as conditions change, as the race situation change. You know, you need to be able to make those decisions and make them quick while also flying around this track because you don't have a crew chief. Maybe you do. Maybe you're lucky you have somebody to help you out. Otherwise, you're flying on this track having to make your own decisions for you.
It's hard enough just to drive the car, let alone do all the strategy decisions and turn all the knobs and click through the boxes. And there's a lot going on in here. Blevel has a 0.6 of a second advantage, and his job here is to stretch this as much as he can in the next few laps. Rashad Craig has got Andreas Ike breathing down his neck here for third.
Yeah, there's another one where we're seeing alternates versus primaries. Craig on the primaries, Andreas Ike on the alternates, and looking fairly quick in that 76 car. Again, 10 seconds out, but we'll have to see if he can catch back up to Oscar potentially after, but they got to deal with Rashad Craig first.
We saw Oster struggle in the keyhole. Craig a little bit better through there than Oster. We've really just seen the 16 locking up as soon as the track falls away there. There's just not enough load on that right front tire to keep it on the ground and keep the grip in it. Ike has a look into turn 4 but doesn't take it.
Had the run but not close enough of a distance to make a move. Had to sit behind Craig for at least about another half a lap, but again, it's so frustrating for these drivers. You're on the faster compound. You know if you were to pass them, you can break away. But of course, we always say catching is one thing and passing is another, and that is very true at a tight track like Mid-Ohio.
Great little battle here. Craig right out to the edge of the rumble strips there. That might have been a little overcooked, but recovered quite nicely for the run into the carousel.
Turn 1 now, you can get the opportunities where you can start to have a look. Please get maybe a little bit closer to Rachel Craig. Goes off the track, about half the car on the grass. He closes up in greatly in the keyhole here.
Great little corner. This goes on forever. You can never really sight the exit. You're like looking over your shoulder to spot the acceleration point.
Yeah, actually, speaking of that turn, a couple drivers were saying it's a little bit hard to find their apex with the new lighting change. The track kind of so bright, it's a little bit harder to spot the apex.
That's something to consider as well. We're looking at it from the opposite direction they are here, but we'll keep our eyes on that next time we come through. Craig up on that rumble strip on the entry to 9. Again, that's not one I want to be on all the time. Ike drops his tires off to the left. That's why they added some curbing there. Drivers kept doing that, so they needed to add some more road to make sure that they weren't tearing up the grass all the time. Look at that shot. That's pretty. Accidental.
Point 4 is a little bit more detailed. It'd be prettier, but
it's also Lexington, Ohio, so it's set your expectations realistically. Here's a look at this keyhole. Again, we've got some cloud cover now, so it might make it a little bit easier to see. Again, the track's a little washed out, so it can be tricky to spot your apex there. Ike, though, not as impressive as Blevel was in passing Oster is Ike on Craig. He just hasn't had the same level of advantage. And Oster has kind of stopped the bleeding now. He's actually gained a half a tenth on Blevel last time, and the gap between those two is 1 second. If you're Blevel, how do you defend this now?
That's a great question because he's going to have to go on to the primaries for his last run. Oster has more leeway. He can choose to go on the alternates or continue another stint on the primary. So it's going to be a difficult choice. I mean, it's just a question, does Oster feel confident he can carry the alternate tires all the way through one stint? Or if he switches back to the primaries, him and Blevel are going to be in the same compound, and then he'll have to get it done the old-fashioned way.
Closing back in on Craig here for third place. A lunge up the inside at Keyhole. Opens the door. Craig falters a little bit, leaves him half a lane at the apex. Not enough to get the IR18 chassis down the inside, though.
Yeah, Craig's been doing a fantastic job on his exits, and I think that's the really big thing that's been helping him keep ahead of Andreas Ike.
Oh, and hold on, let's come back live because there is a pass and Ike is in the grass.
I was going to say, I was just watching it as he cut away. He made a dive. Unfortunately, couldn't stick with it. Take a look at the replay for this.
Yeah, just came in there with a huge head of steam.
Yeah, made a really late dive. I didn't think he was going to go for the move, but he had such a decent run. I guess he figured, you know, it was probably a little bit frustrated staying in behind. Figured it was worth the move.
Pim Van Gastel, this is the replay we were about to watch when that happens. Sort of similar deal here.
Starting to push the limit a little bit more as we're over halfway through the race.
Things have heated up.
Second half. Yep, and one more pit stop looming in the distance for a couple drivers. Effectively on lap 29. We're on lap 29 now. We are looking at we're pretty much open for one more run to the end here. So pit window is open. And we'll see if we see any takers. We saw quite a few early takers last time.
So note now that Oster has begun to run Blevel back down on the primary.
Yeah, he has. I'm actually a bit surprised by it, but again, we expect to see it on some point in the run. There's a transition point. It's a little bit later than probably some drivers would like, but it's starting to go back in the way of Jacob Oster. Yeah,
Blevel's on lap 12, and he started a lap slower now than Oster, and the fuel run's about 20 laps. So the transition is about halfway through the run, but it got him track position. Now, Oster, if Oster were to choose to go back on the primaries and be on equal footing with Blevel, I don't know. I mean, this is a tough choice. Big wiggle there for Blevel out of 13.
Yeah, we'll see. He might actually fancy making a move here. He's really caught up to the back of Blevel, and he's going to struggle a little bit in behind Joe Branch with some dirty air. Looks like Branch going to pull over to the right, let the leaders on by, and here they go into the keyhole.
Sort of roles reversed from a couple laps ago. Blevel got by Oster at keyhole. But it seems like it's come to Oster now, or he's adapted to it. The first 7 or 8 laps on this primary tire, that 16 car looked really ragged. It is definitely dialed back now, and I'm not sure if that's driver or that's tire temp or what. Andrew Wood hits pit lane. It'll be his final stop of the day.
So pit stops begin. Windows open. Wood, the first driver in. Battle for the lead continues here on the back half of the course. When will Jacob Oster come in? He doesn't have too many options left. He's got to come in the next 3 laps or so.
Wiggle there for Blevel, and Oster's going to try to shoot the gap. He kind of got balked on exit there. Lost him a little.
Almost wonder if that was on purpose. Park the bus on the apex. Give him about 0.6 of a second gap. Driver out of the pits, I believe. That is Craig Forsythe up ahead. Made his final pit stop on the alternate for him.
Will we see these two leaders be 1v1 on the same tire like they were in the first run where Oster had the massive advantage, or will Oster jump on the alternates and run red, black, red where Blevel went red, red, black? Or will go red, red, black?
Yeah, well, see, it's kind of up in the air. There's 2 decent options. Again, it always comes down to the driver. If you're a driver that uses up your tires a little bit more aggressive on them, you may want to fancy going on the harder tire, of course, at the cost of speed. If you're a little bit better at saving tire life, well, you might want to go on the alternates because then you can keep them going a little bit longer and you have that speed. AJ Musselman in and out. He's on the alternates for his final stint. And I think just about ahead of the leaders, or at least ahead of Craig Forsythe, who's got the leaders breathing down his neck.
Yeah, just ahead of them as they're headed towards Keyhole here. No one else in this lead battle. It's just Blevel v. Oster. It's 10.2 seconds back to Rashad Craig, and then another 7/10 back to Andreas Ike. Now Oster is having trouble keeping up with Blebel here late in this run.
Yeah, got it. Went one way and now switch back. I mean, of course, the tires are starting to get old, 20 lap on them, and well, that means that Oster, he's going to come down the pit road either this time, if not next time by.
So it's interesting, the advantage.
He's gonna be in it.
Sorry, the advantage that Oster had over Blebel was a little bit bigger than this after the first run, but it has been advantage Blebel. I mean, think about where Blebel was at the end of the first run, and now where he is at the end of the second run. He's really not only made up the distance, but added a second to it. So I think for Oster, it would be a mistake not to go on the red tire for the end of this. But again, as you said, it comes down to... You're right, it comes down to the driver, and here comes Oster straight into pit lane. But again, I don't know that the primary is the move here. If he can take care of them, I would be on the red.
Well, let's see. Drum roll here. And that was perfect time to pit. Saw Musselman holding up level. So Oster trying to come down pit lane. What are the choices for him to go on? Into the box, up on the jacks. Tires going to come off. Which tires come on? It'll be alternates in the end.
Yeah,
for Oster.
I think that's the right move there. I mean, you just have to look at over the course of the race, where did he lose? And that second run, when it was primary v alternate directly against his competition, he lost out not only the lead that he had, but he ended the run a full second behind the guy that was on the red tire. So this is the move. It's going to trap Blebel in a scenario now where he is going to be at a disadvantage.
If I was Blebel, I would come in right now.
I agree.
I think if he stays out, he's going to lose out, because then Oster's going to have the tires up to 10th, and he has literally no chance of blocking him.
Yeah, honestly, it would have been good to hit pit lane the last time right ahead of him, slow him up on the entry, and not get stuck behind.
Let's see Blebel going on through,
he's going to come in.
He will come down to pit lane.
This is fantastic awareness.
Charging in there.
That was great awareness, though, to understand the scenario that he is in.
Yep. And this is what we're talking about, calling that audible, having to change, saw his main competitor come into the pits. Only real shot he has a defense here, he has to come in. Of course, we know that Blebel has to go onto the primary tire. And where is Oster? There he is, working his way through the final corner. Blebel close to pit lane exit. There he goes, off and away. Will he stay ahead?
Could be close.
He will stay ahead, but he's got to get those tires up to 10. It's going to be tough to block. Here we go.
Here comes Jacob Oster to the outside on warmed-up alternates, and it's cold primaries for Pedro Blebel, who's fighting for his best finish on the season. But around the outside, Oster, the points leader, is trying to get his first road course victory of the season with just about 15 laps to go.
Drag race down towards trying to beat you. Who's going to outbreak the other? Oster deep into the braking zone. Blebel trying to hold on the right side. Oster offline, almost off the track, has to stay behind the 3.
That was great defense there by Blebel not to overcook that. He's in a scenario where his car is going to be a lot slower for the next couple laps. He has to make this IR18 very, very wide. Oster knows that his best chance to win this race is to get around Blebel now.
Well, here's the other thing we got to look at as far as look at the tools in the toolbox. Unfortunately, Blebel, he only has 4 more seconds of push to pass. Oster 121.
Well, that's going to doom you, isn't it? that is not a good position to be in. He's on defense in every sense of the word right now, and you see how aggressive Oster was there headed into the carousel. There was no opportunity to go by, but he had the nose ready to try to jam up the inside like he's throwing darts. Here he comes to the outside. Contact.
Outside, some wheel-to-wheel contact, more contact.
They got the elbows out now, and he's going to try to cross over. Defensive line here from Pedro Blebel. He is fighting for his life here.
And he was on the push to pass. He is out of push to pass. Oster's still on it. More contact.
Yeah, this is going to get messy down here into turn 4 if they don't slow things up a little bit here. Here comes Jacob Oster, and he muscles his way by Blebel, who runs wide.
And unfortunately for Blebel, that was the only card he really could play, and he played it well. He held up better than I would have thought, but unfortunately, that's kind of out. He's out of really fuel in the tank.
Yeah, so he's got to recalibrate now, because this isn't over. Being out of push passes is not good, but and maybe Oster can kind of supplement any loss in pace with the tires with that push to pass he has remaining, but Oster also didn't take very good care of those alternates on the opening run, so let's see what he can do.
You are correct.
It's going to take us 10 laps to know, but it might not be over.
You are correct. We could see that transition point, and it could hurt Oster because he has to carry them a long way. So if he doesn't manage them correctly, if he pushes a little bit too hard, oh, and this all lock up right there. So that's, again, not looking particularly good.
Yeah, this was fresh out of the pits. This was on the backstretch here. Level on defense. This was when he did a really nice job, not overcooking it, letting Oster get out into the marbles on his own.
And that is so hard to do, to rein yourself in, because there's a very fine line with those tires just out of the pits. You don't quite exactly know the limit because they're not up to temperature yet.
This is where things started to get a little bit physical into the keyhole. There's one clunk. There's
one touch,
two.
Two touch.
Red touch, blue touch. Or maybe red touch, green touch. There's a big defensive change there. Now he can't move back to the left. He sort of chases him over about a half a lane here. Then a little bit more contact, just doing everything he could, but.
Oh man, Level again, still through there with a little bit less grip to work with, and kept it in there strong. He fought hard, and more importantly, didn't take out his competitor, so gotta get the hat top to him. Still in the fight, like you mentioned. Again, we have to see in 10 laps time where they're gonna stack up. Lost or burn up the tires too much, and can Level bounce back.
Yeah, he's lost more ground than I would have
decent.
liked. He has lost 1.8 seconds, so that is a lot more than I would have liked. If he could have stayed within a second or two, I'd feel a little bit better about this. But again, he's only 4/10 off Oster, and that transition point might come a little sooner than we think. Oster's only led 12 laps. You feel like he's been out front a lot more, but Level's led more.
Yeah, because he led a bit, then Level led a bit. Actually, how many laps has Level led?
16.
With the most as of right now.
Well, he's driving pretty hard too. He's got to not overdrive. His advantage is going to be having tire life left.
Well, again, bigger picture really is that he just needs to kind of keep it going in the right direction. It's going to be a really good point stay. He's only back 19th in the point standings. This would be a really good finish for him.
Hasn't had a top 5 or podium yet, so.
Yes.
Oh, Paulo Vinicius on pit lane out of 5th place. Rashad Craig takes over P5.
And Racing is also still out there on the racetrack. Currently our leader, then it's Andrew Marquez, then a couple of the drivers that have come down to pit lane. In fact, at this point, everyone has come down except for the top 2. Battle brewing between Andrew Wood and Julian Alton. Battle for 8th place.
These two have been going at it here. The inside here at Keyhole. Tough to hold on. There's a lot of marbles out there. Andrew Wood did a nice job not actually running off the road.
Yeah, what's actually really impressive with this too is that Julian Alton has not used a single second of push pass this race.
Now watch out as the 64 runs out there. He is right on the edge of all those marbles. Did a nice job not driving it off into the gravel trap there. Still in it.
Still fighting hard. I actually didn't realize that for a while. They actually were fairly close. We're so enwrapped with the battle for the lead.
Oh, trouble. And Vinicius in the 42 is off.
And went for a little bit of a slide.
Oh, wow. This was a big tank slapper. This is coming out of turn 7 under the Honda bridge. They've removed that in real life now, unfortunately. But gets too much curb, and it just over the crest, it just goes away from him.
Unfortunately, didn't hit anything. Gets back on the track. I think we'll lose 2 spots too. Yeah, there's Alton and Wood going by. It's back to 9th for him.
It's a shame. He's having a pretty good day. Not the end of the world, but I want to end on a note like that. Pedro Bleville has completely lost touch with Oster now, 3.5 back. I don't know that he's got anything for him. Had he run a more consistent run like he had in the opening stint of the race, I think he'd be in a much better position.
Yeah, really hard to do.
Oster is slowing down, but not quickly enough.
Andre Seiken in the pits. Andrew Marquez will remain out. It's the final driver we expect to pit this race. Continue to watch the battle between Andrew Wood and Julian Alton as battle down for 7th place.
Yeah, Julian Alton having a much better day than I think he was expected to have. Sure, he'll take it.
Yeah, I was going to say, he said he expected to finish last. He expected to finish 7th if he can hold off Andrew Wood for a little bit less than 10 laps to go.
Told me before the race, this is my absolute worst track ever. So I'm going to finish last 100%. Well, I guess don't buy a lottery ticket today, because he's not exactly nailing the future predictions here, is he?
No, not quite, but definitely in the good direction.
Yeah.
So it's always unfortunate when you have a favorite track or track you're really good at and end up getting a poor result. As Marquez comes into the pit, surrenders the lead back to Jacob Oster.
And again, level 4 seconds back now. Unlikely that he'll find the pace to run Oster back down with only 8 laps to go, but again, they're within 0.3 of a second on lap time now, so that transition point is about to happen.
Yeah, I think for Blubble, though, you would have liked that transition point to happen about 5 or 6 laps to go, as you can start making inroads back, but might be maybe too little, too late. As cloud cover's come over the track, cooling down a little bit, down 114 seconds, still fairly slick.
Hear the revs climb up over the hill there. This is such a fun racetrack in one of these cars. These things are a joy to race on road courses. I still have yet to try out Portland. I got to give that a go. I got some work to do tonight for the upcoming Toyota GR Cup North America Esports League, which restarts next Saturday at 2:30 Eastern Time on the GT World YouTube channel. Vinny will be race control. I'll be on comms duty for that one, but we've got some stuff to work on. But after that, I got to give Portland a try.
I mean, you could just do what we always didn't call it, just procrastinate a little bit on that.
Well, Mom's coming into town, so I can't procrastinate too much. But I'll just...
You say that.
Well, always tomorrow, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, there really is.
It's like on my Masters.
Yeah. Oh, Vinicius again in the gravel this time. This is over in the same area of the racetrack.
Fairly difficult part, again, very much a rhythm section, and I think just stepped out a little bit too much in one corner. He cleared the hill that time, but then went off the track, carried that grass. So I'm surprised we haven't seen more of this incident, and I've got to say everyone's been fairly good at keeping the car pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, it's a really easy mistake to make, but it's been struggling over there in the late stages of this one.
Actually lost another position with that. Lost a position with David Adams, so back to 10th for him, 42. And actually got AJ Musselman behind him, breathing down his neck with faster tires.
Jacob Oster is 7 laps away, just about, from picking up his 2nd win of the season. It's actually kind of unbelievable that he's only won 1 race so far back at Texas earlier in the year. The wins have been spread around the board a little bit, haven't they?
He's just been so consistent near the top. I think technically Burrell's been the most consistent driver this season, but Oster's been fairly close and a little bit better in that column. So he's done a really solid job just getting the points where he can, making up on his competitors' mistakes. And it really is a lot of his competitors have made a lot of mistakes this season. I think that's where he's been able to capitalize truly on it. But setting himself up really well for success in this final part of the season. 3 more rounds after tonight. Got Nashville, potentially Long Beach, but it may be a switch to Portland, depending on how the league feels, what they're going to have a vote on. So it's Long Beach or Portland, and then of course the Indianapolis 500 in just before the month of May in April.
Jacob Oster continues to circulate 6 seconds clear of Pedro Blebel. No major battles happening on the racetrack at this stage in the race. And he is just trying to finish out. You documented how consistent he has been. I said 5 consecutive podiums since Texas in January. That is unbelievable. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 3rd. But the road course at IMS was his weakest finish of the season. That was a 12th, but he started 28th in that race.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that race. That was a really good climb for him. Come from that far back in a fairly short amount of time with a very impressive run, even if it may not be reflected on the outright finishing position. But other than that, really solid run of races recently for the number 16 machine.
Note now,
as he continues to put laps down.
yeah, note now on the lap times, a little slow. Well, it was still a little quicker than Blebel, but the gap has come down a little ways. It was over 6.5 seconds, now down to about 6, but too little too late, I think, for Blebel. It really needed to keep that distance a lot tighter.
Yeah, one battle that might be brewing here in the next lap or so is Orman catching up to Andrew Marquez. Battle for 5th. Orman hasn't really got a whole lot of places.
Orman he's just had a lot of races like this where he starts and finishes exactly where he's been. He just kind of gets stuck. But it's worked out for him. I mean, as far as where he is in the standings, he's running 2nd, but a lot of races where, he just doesn't have a ton of mobility. He's just sort of gets stuck in that, 3rd to 6th range. He's had 3 4th place results this year.
Yeah, he needs to, obviously he's one of the main rivals in this championship battle between himself, Akaboise, and Burrell. So he ideally want to step up and get those finishes, take those points away from Oscar, but Oscar looking to be kind of the class of the field this season.
I think Akaboise's absence here tonight is going to haunt him because other than, he had a 16th at Road America and a 21st at Texas. He has been on the podium in every other event, save for Homestead, where he was involved in a crash. So, it's been definitely diamonds or coal for him this year. But if tonight was a diamond, he continued to climb up the standings. He has just vaulted himself into 3rd place.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure the situation with him missing tonight, but there is one drop week for these drivers to work with. So that'll help them. It's unfortunate because, with a driver as good as him on the road courses, he would easily, force another race, another poor result to be dropped. More points to his name, especially now when we're getting to the point where almost every point is going to matter heading up to Indianapolis. So unfortunate to see that he's not going to be here. Hopefully he'll be back next race at Nashville.
Jacob Oster's coming to 3 laps to go. And for all the handling struggles he had on those primary tires, this car looks still pretty sketchy even on the alternate. So Team I5G, they run these things on the edge, don't they?
I mean, that's how you got to get the speed, right? Dancing on the edge of grip. Obviously, you have it more comfortable. You're not necessarily going fast enough. There's still some extra room to push. And Oster was pushed the car effectively as good as it could go. David Adams caught up to Andrew Wood here, battle for 8th. I think Andrew Wood, he had an issue that was causing him to drift back to David Adams.
Yeah, the last time by was about a second off of what the lap time would expect.
His last 3 laps were pretty slow. 111, 110, and then another 111.
Made a couple of mistakes that are leaving him vulnerable here in the late stages of this.
And those tires, I don't think are really going to be able to give him much more. He's got 16 lap old tires.
That's
pushing
probably
the edge of the limit for them. And has 0 push to pass.
And
meanwhile, David Adams, 9 laps on his tires.
Nailed it. So a lot of things stacking up against. A lot of things stacking against Andrew Wood in the late stages of this, but we'll see if he can hang on.
Whoa, big dive.
We're on camera there. There we go. Bit of Fox direction, just like real life.
Andrew Wood going defensive. Only real move he can really do as David Adams uses some push to pass to give him some speed. Not actually really getting that much, but we'll look to the right, dive into turn 4.
Whoa, a little contact.
Almost pushed.
I think there was a touch there.
If not, it was very close. Andrew Wood had to check up there.
Yeah, a little net code, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But either way, Wood gets shuffled off the road. Jacob Oster, lap and a half remaining, has just done a nice job tonight with this strategy. And again, I think this was the right call to go the primary alternate. And this is the strategy that I thought I would have done. I said earlier alternate primary, but that's what Blebel has done. But again, I don't really know if Blebel's pace ever really truly could match Oster. So I don't know if there was anything more to that story, but it's only going to be 1 lap left for Oster here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, really great run. White flag in the air for the number 16 machine. Only 1 win this season. We talked about how surprising that was, but again, just been very consistently, not necessarily overly flashy, but very consistent. And while he's been consistently fast
all night long here in Mid-Ohio.
Setting himself up for a championship run, distancing himself from other competitors. Brandon Treno won the opening 3 rounds of the season. We haven't seen him since, a couple of bad weeks in a row. It's left the door wide open for someone with the consistency and skill of Jacob Oster. Even with that Hamilton Akabueze out this week and Jesper Orman not really showing up to fill the shoes, Jacob Oster's biggest opponent was Pedro Blebel, who's having a career day, but it's not enough to take down the points leader. Jacob Oster and Team I5G, they prep these things week in and week out to be some of the fastest I-18s on the road here in the iRacing service, and it will win him a race at Mid-Ohio. Checkered flag, Jacob Oster wins at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, round 9 of the Catalyst 317 Indy Elite Series season. Pedro Blebel comes home a solid second place, earns his first podium of the season, and Rashad Craig in the 21 comes home in third place as well. This is also his first podium of the season in that number 21.
Always love to see it. A great run for the 21. We didn't really talk a lot about him, but he had some fighting with Andreas Ike, able to get the better of him in the strategy. Meanwhile, Marquez Orman to the line. It'll be Marquez in 5th, Orman back in 6th. I imagine he's going to be a little bit frustrated with that because it hasn't really gone a whole lot anywhere since the start. Started 6th, finished 6th.
David Adams and Andrew Wood, that battle finished off a couple of moments ago down in turn 4. Adams will come home in 8th after starting in 10th plus 2 spots, so that'll take a payday. Andrew Wood 9th to 9th after 49 laps. Progress 0. Paulo Vinicius was running well, but a couple of mistakes late in the race relegate him to 10th place. Adrian Musselman, Craig Forsyth will be the last lead lap runners down in 11th and 12th. How about Jacob Oster? Can anybody take the fight to him in these last 3 races?
We'll have to see. Someone's got to step back up, and I think, you know, Hamilton Akabueze, who we're hoping to see come back for the remaining rounds. Pedro Blebel looked pretty strong here, maybe on some of the other road courses, and Orman, bit of a more disappointing performance, I would say, compared to, whoa, hello.
Trying to do the Pagano.
But with Orman, I think a more disappointing result than he would have liked, again, especially considering his standing in 2nd for the point standings.
Here's a look at your race results. We kind of already went through the top 10 here, but tight battle there at the end between Marquez and Orman. That didn't quite finish out. Again, Oster picking up only his 2nd win of the season. It's a surprise considering how well he's done everywhere else so far. Blebel and Rashad Craig, again, career days, at least season days for both of them. First podiums of the year.
Yeah, and Orman was chasing down Marquez for about 10 to 5 laps there towards the end. He was trying to catch up to him, unfortunately couldn't quite get to, and then of course behind them Altona, Adams, Wood, and Vinicius rounding out your top 10. Moving on to the next page of results, we find AJ Musselman in 11th throughout a fairly quiet day, as well as Craig Forsyth. Joe Branch and Pim Van Gestel finishing 1 lap down, with Tony Schowen and Murphy are only retirements, 15th and 16th.
Well, let's chat with our podium finishers. First podium of the season. Rashad Craig gets it done. P3, first podium of the year. Rashad, congratulations on that. Good fight there with Andreas Ike, back and forth a couple of times, but not quite enough to run up there and grab the lead away or 2nd place, but job well done. Take us through it.
Kind of sketchy to start on this start. Kind of made the set to be better later on in the run, not anticipating how bad it was going to be at the beginning. Almost spun a couple of times, but from there, it was pretty much just hitting numbers and working the strategy. I had a teammate Seb on the booth help me out and on the strategy, because everybody knows I'm not good at that sort of thing while I'm driving. So he helped me out there, and it just put me in a good position to get on the podium.
Yeah, certainly, and it's going to vault you forward, I think, a couple of spots in the championship standings. 3 rounds remain here in the season. We head to Nashville in a couple of weeks, then Long Beach, and then Indianapolis 500 on April 27th. What round of those 3 are you looking most forward to?
Long Beach, I am not an oval person. I do all right, but I'm definitely more road biased, so I haven't run Nashville. I don't think I remember running Nashville before, so that'll be fun. But definitely looking forward to Long Beach.
All right, well, we'll see you there in a couple of weeks.
Or potentially, it actually sounds like potentially might be doing Portland. Maybe we'll see. But either one would be great.
I'd love to try out Portland and give that a go. So hopefully, I'm hoping for that, even though I love Long Beach myself. But unfortunately, I don't get to go there for real this year. I got to go last year with SRO. I've got a schedule conflict with the grid life stuff. So, but anyway, Rashad, thanks for talking to us. Congratulations, P3 tonight, and we'll see you in a couple weeks at Nashville.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. And as well as Rashad Craig, Pedro Bleville also first podium of the year, second place in the number 3. Strategy was the topic of discussion, the alternate versus the primary. And you had pace, and that whole second run outperformed Oster, but it slipped away at the end. Take us through it, and could you have done anything different?
Hey, how are you doing? Sorry for my English, I am from Argentina, so maybe is there a confusion on the language, but I will try my best. In the second stint, I opted to go for the alternate because I thought that maybe in that chance I would have a better chance to battle with the top 3, and I think it was the right choice.
Well, it certainly turned out well for you. Second place tonight, your first podium of the season. We've got Nashville coming up, Long Beach after that, and then the Indianapolis 500 at the end of the year. Which of those 3 rounds do you think you've got the best shot at picking up a win?
Honestly, no one, because this setup was I worked a lot on this setup, and it turned out to be a really good setup. And the guys running here, they are so faster than me, and they have a really good setup too. So if I am lucky, I will have a good setup to race there. But I don't know, to be honest. I don't think so.
Well, congratulations on a second place. Great podium. It's going to be a good points day for you. Congratulations. We'll see you at Nashville in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the transmission, all the commenting, all the broadcast, and the race organizations. I want to thank my team, Roar Esports, my family, my dad that is helping me with my simulator, the best friend of my dad, Juan, my friends, and all of the people that I know here that help me a lot. So thank you very much.
Good stuff. Thanks a lot. And we'll chat now with Jacob Oster, who gets it done for the second time this season. First time this year on a road course. It's hard to believe given your place in the point standings, but consistency has been the key. And that was the same sort of thing that got you the win tonight in that last run in particular. It was a red, black, red strategy for you, or red, red, black for Pedro. Take us through your night, because those black tires did not seem to love the setup you had on that car.
Yeah, the set I was running was off our Pro set, which was built for about a 95 track temp, so it's a little bit different. But, you know, I was immediately chastised by multiple people in Discord whenever they saw me with how much fuel I had at the start. Really should have put that down a little bit longer, to run like 15 laps to not get stuck in the mess, but it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, that was really the challenge, I think, is that, you came down to pit lane and kind of got right into traffic after that. But take me through the challenges of a track like Mid-Ohio. It's not a super grippy racetrack. You were fighting the handling of the car in some of those slower corners in particular. How much did that affect the tire wear for you on the alternate tires tonight?
Really just comes down to keeping the car balanced and keeping the rear tires under. You're not scorching them, like coming out of a corner, like rolling on and off the throttle, and not just doing an excess spin. Because there's a lot of slow speed traction zones here that go in like a medium speed or higher speed corner. So you need to keep the car as planted as possible and not to spin it all up to keep the tires underneath you, which I think I did mostly okay. Car was a little bit too free, but it's okay. I'd rather it be free than tight.
Well, it was free, but it was a quick car and it won the race. So congratulations. Second win of the season. Jacob, good luck to you at Nashville. We'll see you there in a couple weeks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, Finian, what a race. Mid-Ohio never fails to put on a great show. And this was the moment when we saw the pass for the lead, and things got heated between these two. A little bit of a hip and shoulder here, but it was always going to be that 16 of Oster, the points leader, that came away with the victory tonight.
Yeah, always fun to see some nice battling for the lead. A very respectable battle between these guys. They gave it their all. They fought extremely hard, of course, but Oster, just the class of the field today, a very strong run for him, and we'll see if he can continue that run onwards for the rest of the season as we head to Nashville in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, Nashville Super Speedway is up next, and this is a place that I don't think I've ever actually watched an IndyCar race at before. So I'm kind of excited to see what that's going to look like here in a couple of weeks. And then, of course, we've got the potential switch from Long Beach to Portland. I think that'd be interesting, but this is where we're headed next, Nashville Super Speedway in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much for watching here on Sim TV. Kyle Heyer, Finney Ndakuna bringing you the action. And I don't actually think I'll be present for Nashville because I will be in Sonoma, but I should be around for the following week at Long Beach. But excited for it all, and we'll see you there in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks so much.